I still remember the sound of that slap echoing through the grand ballroom. 500 guests, crystal chandeliers sparkling above us, soft music playing in the background. And then, his hand across my face. My name is Sophia. For 3 years, Marcus was my entire world. The man who whispered forever while we danced under string lights. The one who got down on one knee in front of my family and promised to protect me. Everyone loved him. My friends, my colleagues, even my father, who was usually so careful with the men in my life. That night was supposed to be our engagement party. I had spent months planning every detail. The ivory roses, the candlelit tables, the live violinist. I wore a soft champagne-colored gown that made me feel like a princess. When Marcus walked in, he looked perfect in his tailored suit. For a moment, everything felt like a fairy tale, but fairy tales never prepare you for the moment your prince becomes the villain. The argument started quietly in the corner. He accused me of smiling too long at an old friend. His voice grew sharper. I tried to calm him, whispering that we could talk later. But something in his eyes had already snapped. Before I could take another breath, his hand flew across my cheek with a crack that silenced the entire room. Gasps, phones coming out. 500 pairs of eyes staring at me as I stood there, cheek burning, tears blurring my vision. I could hear whispers spreading like wildfire. Did he just... Oh my God. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. The humiliation was worse than the sting. In that moment, every dream I had built with him shattered into 1,000 pieces. The man I loved had just destroyed me in front of everyone who mattered. But what I didn't know was that this would be the beginning of the end for him. I stood there frozen, hand gently touching my face, when something deep inside me shifted. A quiet strength I hadn't felt in years. I looked straight into Marcus's eyes I once found comforting, and saw nothing but fear flickering behind the anger. He knew he had gone too far. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of them. Instead, I simply turned, walked through the parting crowd with my head high, and stepped into the hallway. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. My thumb hovered over the screen for just a second. Then I typed the code, a sequence my father taught me when I was 16, our family's private emergency signal. Something only he would understand. A code that meant one thing. I need you. No questions. Protect me. I hit send. The days after the slap were the hardest. Marcus tried to apologize immediately. Flowers, messages, calls saying it was a moment of weakness and that the stress of the wedding planning had gotten to him. He even cried on my voicemail, telling me how much he loved me. For a brief moment, I almost believed him. That's what love does. It makes you doubt what your own eyes saw. But then the truth started leaking out. Friends who had stayed silent that night began reaching out. One of my bridesmaids confessed she had seen Marcus kissing another woman at a bachelor party 2 weeks earlier. Another told me he had been borrowing large sums of money from my family accounts using my passwords he secretly copied from my phone. He wasn't just angry that night. He was terrified that his carefully built image was about to crumble. He had been using me, my family's connections, my father's business reputation, to climb higher. And when he felt cornered, he lashed out. I spent nights replaying every sweet moment we shared, wondering how I missed the signs. The controlling questions disguised as care. The way he slowly distanced me from my close friends. The expensive gifts that now felt like chains. My heart felt completely shattered. I would cry in the shower so no one could hear me, then put on makeup and pretend I was okay. But every time I felt myself slipping back into doubt, I remembered that sound. The slap echoing through the ballroom. The way 500 people watched my humiliation. That memory became my fuel. Meanwhile, I said nothing publicly. I posted a simple story saying the engagement was off and I needed space. The internet exploded with speculation, but I stayed silent. Marcus, on the other hand, began spinning his own story, telling mutual friends that I was unstable and had provoked him. That's when I realized how dangerous he truly was. He wasn't just a man who lost his temper. He was calculated. He was trying to destroy my reputation before I could destroy his, but he didn't know about the code. My father never replied to my message. He didn't need to. That was the beauty of it. Within days, quiet things began happening. Business associates who once praised Marcus suddenly pulled away. Investors who were about to fund his new startup started asking difficult questions. Old documents from his past, things he thought were buried, started surfacing in the right circles. I didn't ask my father for details. I didn't need to. For the first time in months, I felt protected. I felt seen, and I felt something even stronger growing inside me. The quiet power of a woman who finally chooses herself. 2 weeks after the slap, Marcus showed up at my family's estate unannounced. He looked desperate. His usual confidence was gone. He begged me to take him back, saying his career was falling apart and he needed me by his side. I stood there on the steps, calm and composed, and simply said, "You slapped me in front of 500 people, Marcus. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences?" That's when my father stepped out. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. In his calm, measured tone, he told Marcus exactly what he had discovered. The embezzlement from client accounts, the false credentials, the other woman who was helping him run the scheme. Everything. Marcus's face went pale. He tried to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. My father made one final statement. "You will never come near my daughter again. And you will fix what you've broken, or the authorities will hear the full story." I watched as security escorted him off the property. No shouting, no drama, just quiet, dignified justice. In the weeks that followed, Marcus's world quietly collapsed. His business deals dried up. Friends distanced themselves. The woman he was seeing left when she realized he had nothing left. He wasn't publicly destroyed in a dramatic scandal. But he lost everything that mattered to him: his reputation, his power, and the mask he hid behind. As for me, I found peace. I started traveling again, reconnected with old friends, rediscovered the woman I was before I dimmed my light for someone who never deserved it. The slap no longer haunted me. Instead, it became the moment I woke up. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Never let anyone convince you that your pain is too small to matter. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And remember that you are never truly alone. Sometimes the strongest revenge isn't loud or cruel. Sometimes it's simply choosing to protect yourself and letting the truth do the rest. I used to think love meant forgiving everything. Now I know real love starts with respecting yourself enough to walk away. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been betrayed, know that healing is possible. You are stronger than the pain they caused. And one day, you'll look back and realize that their worst moment became your turning point. Until next time, take care of your heart.